I'm saying that Joseph changed Egypt because his great-great-great-grandfather encountered a God of the supernatural, incorporated into family life. They didn't go to school to learn it, they learned it at home. And he passed that on to Isaac, who taught his children, Joseph and Jacob and all the family lineage. How did that happen? Because they grew up in a house of heroes. Their houses were houses of the Incredibles. They looked like normal people, but they had an encounter with the God who can do the impossible and does do the impossible, and they anticipated and expected it. Why did Isaac plant when there was no rain? Because he wasn't determined. His life was not determined by the laws of physics, but by the laws of the kingdom. Where did he learn that? From his great-grandfather and from his father. You get the idea. What would happen if we stopped worrying about what the world's going to do to our kids and we started teaching our children how to move in wonders and signs and miracles, and we raised up a whole lineage, a whole legacy of people who know the God of the impossible. And the commentary on your children is, those who've turned the world upside down have moved in next door. I don't want my grandchildren to hear about miracles. I want them to have their own testimony. Sometimes we isolate our kids from problems. They have no test, and that's why they have no money. I took two of my grandkids to Heidi Baker's, and we went out in the bush. And Heidi was casting demons out and healing the deaf. And my granddaughters were like, this is what our Papa taught us about. They weren't shocked it happened because they've heard the stories, but now they have their story. You can't protect our kids. Well, what happens if the demons get them? Well, they'll learn how to get free. We're so concerned about post-traumatic stress, we don't give them anything dramatic. Kids are bored to death. Got nothing to live for. And I'm saying we got to expose our kids to problems so they know there's a God of miracles. If you train up a child in the way they should go, then when they're old, they won't depart from it. I propose this is the way they ought to go. They ought to grow up saying, I'm in the ministry. I met Jesus when I was 4, and I've been in the ministry ever since. And my mama, she taught me how to heal the sick. And my daddy, he taught me how to cast out demons. And my great-grandmother, she taught me how to interpret dreams and visions. And by the way, I have 3 angels that stay with me all the time. I know I'm protected. And I mean, would they just grow up with an awareness that the God who transcends the laws of physics, he hangs out with me. This is what we need. We isolate our kids. And by the way, I love Christian schools. Everybody hear that? Okay. But I don't want my kids in the Christian schools so the bad people don't hurt them. I want to put them in a Christian school so they can learn how to deal with demons and how to interact with God, then release them to a world that's unexpected.